Hey, YouTube. Yo, what it do? It's Rod D, Orange Ninja News. Today I want to talk about the coronavirus and not just talk about the coronavirus. I want to break it down and talk about all the different aspects of it and look at the science behind it. And we also going to look at the whole bat theory because now they have a theory out where they think that the coronavirus has come from bats, and me personally, I'm not buying that theory, and I'll break it down. I'll tell you why I really don't buy that theory. But to get to that point, I do research. I don't just throw out just random opinions and just say my opinion on the subject. I actually read up on the subject and look at all the different scenarios and variables to the subject matter, and then I form an opinion. But so some cats don't really do their research. They just say something that they heard somebody else say. Me, I don't get down like that. I actually do the research and look it up for myself. So I'm gonna be getting into all that, and by the end of today's show, break it down to exactly why I'm not buying the whole bat theory, and you'll see why when I break it down piece by piece. All right. Now, before I get into that, I usually get into my day, how my day's going, how my day went. If it's after my work shift, how my day's going. If it's before my work shift or whatever. Yeah, so I got one of my last days in the truck that I'm in now. It's about to hop into a newer truck. Well, basically a new truck. This joker here is already pushing 500,000 miles, so it was about that time. Switch up trucks. I'm looking forward to it. The only part I'm not looking forward to is I have to move all my stuff out my old truck into my new truck, and I got a lot of junk because it'd be like that, carry a lot of stuff with you so you can be comfortable on the road and be able to. The more comfortable you are, the more you'll be able to stay out, and it's all about surviving and being comfortable and being able to get the job done, having your different tools and stuff like that. Of course, you want your TV and such for comfort, your pillows, your blankets, like I say, all your tool bag, I mean, just but it'd be all types of stuff in your truck. But stuff that you need and stuff for the comfort to be out on the road for a long period of time if you're doing long distance. Yeah. So, oh man, that's what I ain't even looking to move all that stuff like that. But hey, it's part of life on the road. It's how it works. The truck only got so many years to it. It's a mechanical machine, so you're only gonna get so many years out of it. Yeah, man. So let's get into this whole coronavirus thing. All right. So the latest news report says scientists revealed the virus is 96% identical to one found in animals and is almost the same as SARS, as the global death toll hits 362 people. SARS was another real deadly disease, but that was SARS been a while back since we heard anything about SARS. Okay, finding the animal source of the virus has been challenging so far. Scientists in Wuhan analyzed samples taken from several coronavirus patients. They found a 96% similarity in the virus DNA to a coronavirus in bats. And bats, they also carry rabies. And why that's important is that most diseases that they're not what you call a cross species. Like, you won't have humans being able to give animals different diseases, and the animals giving us their diseases. Basically, the average disease works like that. So, but with bats, you see, with their rabies, that can go to all different type of animals, even humans. So that's why that's real important to keep in mind right there. And that's going to tie into part of my theory later on. I'm going to talk to you about why I'm not buying it. Okay. This makes it the most probable source, but this is yet to be confirmed. 2019 nCoV is also 79.5% similar with SARS, which could help with vaccines. And as far as that part is, as far as it being almost 80% similar to SARS, is, to me, says, okay, it looked like it's one of those Frankenstein style viruses that's mixed with other viruses such as SARS. Like, it's SARS mixed with another virus, which it could have been like a earlier coronavirus that wasn't deadly, but then when it's mixed with the SARS virus, then it becomes deadly in humans. You know what I'm saying? So that's another real important thing right there. All right, goes on to say, bats are likely the cause of coronavirus from China after scientists find the virus is 96% identical to the ones in bats. Okay, the virus, which has killed 362 people so far, was believed to have transferred to humans from an animal, but identifying which one has been challenging. Now, using samples from 7 patients with severe pneumonia caused by the coronavirus, scientists have found striking similarities to coronavirus found in bats. Global cases have risen above 17,450, higher than the total recorded cases of the SARS virus that killed some 800 people in 2002 and 2003. And that's what I was saying as far as the SARS virus. That had been a while. That was way back in 2002 when that whole scare had hit, and that was the big virus that it was talking about, and everybody was scared of. Although scientists stress the animal source of the recent outbreak in China is yet to be officially declared, experts have confirmed a wholesale animal market in Wuhan City is to blame. And, well, I believe that could be true as far as like the whole Wuhan market could be like ground zero for it, because, if somebody wanted to spread it or whatever, and they had put it in some meat or something, that would be a great place to start from, And it says a lot of animals, including koalas, rats, and wolf pups, were available at the Hunan Seafood Market in central Wuhan, the outbreak's epicenter. And there's also pictures of the market on the internet, and it basically shows that it was one of those meat markets that has all types of exotic meats. We're talking everything from bats, rats, cats, etc. Snakes. You get alligators, crocodiles. I mean, whatever, any kind of animal already cooked up, sliced up, ready for the table. But I mean, there's different strokes for different folks. Some people just eat different stuff. Just like how we have certain animals we won't eat over here, because a lot of people are into pets and stuff like that, and it might be some other places where they just don't see the same animal as a pet. That's all. While most research has pointed towards bats, research at Peking University implicated snakes as the most likely reservoir of the rapidly spreading disease. Well, rapidly spreading virus, same thing. But Yeah, because the snake theory was the first one they was talking about before I even went to a lot of the bat talk. So that's what I'm saying. That was another aha moment to me right there. It's like, they couldn't figure out which animal to say that it came from. And I'm like, okay. Researchers say bats are the host of a coronavirus almost completely identical to the one infecting people in the current outbreak, which began in Wuhan, China. Okay, so there's already a coronavirus, and that's what I was saying earlier. That coronavirus was not one that could kill you or whatever, and it was already something in the bats already. It's just one of those things, just like rabies. Like you have a lot of bats, especially mostly the vampire bats. They be having they be having rabies, but they they don't succumb to rabies themselves, and they won't die from it. They just a host or a carrier of it. And when they bite other animals, they get them rabies. And it's not all the bats, and like I say, uh, not all the bats, even with the vampire bat, it's not all of them. But and then it's definitely not the different bat, because you got different style of bats. From it goes all the way from small little teeny insect bats that only eat insects. You got the vampire bats that drink blood. You got the big large fruit bats that only eat fruit. It's different style of bats. So I mean, it's not like one type of bat. They got different kind, from, like I said, the little teeny ones to the bigger ones that look like basically rats with wings, all the way to the big humongous looking fruit bats that only eat fruit. Some of those grow as big as looking like big foxes with wings. Some of them, how big they grow. It's a bunch of different kinds of bats. It's not just bats. It isn't just one one style of bats. You got different species of bats. Okay, more than 17,200 people have been infected worldwide, and the Yunnan market was a hotspot with locals who could choose to buy their meat warm, meaning it had been slaughtered just moments prior. And okay, well, the reason that's pointed out about the food being slaughtered there in the area is that it also go to cleanliness, as far as people washing their hands and keeping clean and stuff. If you working with raw meat right there, and it might not be the cleanest conditions to be working with raw meat. You're out on the street, out in the open, a lot of people walking by, coughing, talking, everything else going on. It's not like an actual butcher shop or somewhere where everybody's being sanitary. That's basically why they bring up that part, which is, definitely a way to catch diseases. Okay, I'm gonna get to the next part of this article. We still do not know whether another species served as an intermediate host to amplify the virus and possibly even to bring it to the market, nor what species that host might have been, which goes back to saying basically that the whole bat theory isn't 100%. They still, just they saying most likely it's bats. They're not saying that's a 100% given, but that's what they think. That's why it's the whole bat theory to the coronavirus. But the high level of sequence similarity between nCoV and TG13 is not really compatible with some of the more exotic hosts that were considered earlier in the epidemic. And that just goes on to say, having everything there, animal wise, that is like, we can't tell. There's just so many different animals there. Still trying to figure out the exact animal. And Get this name. Xing Li Shi, a virologist and researcher at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and colleagues analyzed samples of 7 people with what's been dubbed 2019 nCoV. And 2919 nCoV is the scientific name for the coronavirus. What other research points to the bats as the source of the killer virus? Researchers at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, the People's Liberation Army, and Institute of Pasteur of Shanghai came to the conclusion that the coronavirus may have come from bats. In a statement, the team said the Wuhan coronavirus natural host could be bats, but between bats and humans, there may be an unknown intermediate. Research published in The Lancet also determined bats as the most probable original host of the virus after samples were taken from the lungs of 9 patients in Wuhan. The team suggested that bats passed the disease on to an intermediate host, which was at the human seafood market in Wuhan, before being passed on to the terminal host humans. Authorities have pointed the blame on food markets in Wuhan, the Chinese city at the center of the outbreak that scientists are scrambling to contain. And it says 6 of the cases included were the workers at the market in Wuhan. They were first reported in December. The team found that full-length genome sequences, which determined the DNA of the virus from 5 of the patients, were almost 100% identical to each other. So they know that at least 6 of the workers at the Wuhan market all had the same exact virus. It's 100% identical, so it's the same exact virus. And if it's 6 workers from the Wuhan market had it, and that means they all was in, came in contact together around the Wuhan market. That's how they can kind of, that's where they can figure exactly where it started at, where it's the epicenter of everything. And let's see, the evidence suggests bats are a probable source. And this jump between species is rare and makes the virus zoonotic, capable of infecting different species. And that's the point I was bringing up earlier, that you can see that with bats. They carry, just like the rabies, which is what they call zoonotic. It can go through different species. Rabies is another, rare zoonotic thing that can do that, because in a normal circumstance, you're not going to be able to give a disease to your dog, or your dog give you a disease or whatever like that on the regular. Then you have such thing as rabies, or with this, in this case, the coronavirus, that can jump from species to species. And so that part is real interesting. Bats are unaffected by pathogens in their bloodstreams, but people have no protection to the viruses as they are foreign to human immune systems. And again, that's the same thing with rabies. The rabies don't affect the bat, but once the bat comes in contact with another animal, then he spreads the rabies to that animal. And that's mostly in the case of, like I say, vampire bats, because they bite other animals, they drink their blood, and that's only one kind of bat. You got all different type of bats, like I was talking about earlier. And once in humans, it can then be easily passed from person to person through coughs or sneezes, which they already had started off saying that it's the type that travels through the air, which makes it way more deadly than just any regular virus or disease, because, you know what I'm saying, being able to just through breathing, you catch it and die, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy, man. That's deadly as hell. Because everybody's got to breathe. You know, you got other viruses you never come in contact with, like something that has to um, be contracted through blood or something like that. And as long as the person isn't is real clean and taking care of themselves and not just being out there like that, it's a lot of viruses like that they would never even come in risk of catching. But as far as something like the coronavirus that you catch just by breathing, it's like, oh hell no, everybody got to breathe. Okay. Zheng Lishi and colleagues also found the new coronavirus shares 79.5% sequence identity with SARS, and it enters the body through the same route via a cell receptor called ACE2. So being that it's so identical to SARS, to me, what I'm saying is that it seems like it's a hybrid. Like it's basically a virus that's mixed with SARS, a virus that in itself wasn't deadly until they got a strain of SARS mixed with it. And if you think about it, you know, you got, you know, viruses has been around the planet forever. You know what I'm saying? There's all types of viruses. It's just that the average virus isn't deadly. But you take one and you mix it with something, it could be deadly. Case in point, putting SARS with a non-deadly virus and then turning it into basically a deadly weapon. Okay, but I'm gonna get more into that in my theory why it's not the bats. In just a bit, I'm gonna finish up reading this a little bit more of this article, and that's gonna be it for the article, and I'm gonna go into it. Okay, it says this suggests there are some genetic differences between the novel coronavirus and SARS, but the structures are similar. There's small differences, but both viruses are very similar. Think about that. A test developed by the researchers was able to detect 2019 nCoV, which is the coronavirus, in oral swab samples, but samples taken about 10 days later did not have a positive result. This suggests the most likely route of transmission is through airways. However, the authors say other routes may be possible and more patient data is needed to investigate transmission routes. In a separate study also published in Nature Today, Yang Zhang and colleagues at Fudan University, Shanghai, looked at a 41-year-old male market worker admitted to a hospital in Wuhan in December 26, 2019. All right. Now, it comes as the epidemic's official death toll soared overnight by 57 to 361 cases in China, plus one in the Philippines. And, you know, we also got some cases here in the U.S. And if you're keeping up with the whole story, they already, you know, as soon as they found out it was coming from Wuhan, they had basically quarantined the whole city with millions of people there. Nobody in the city, nobody out the city. The city's quarantined and completely cut off. Researchers at Peking University believe that 2019 nCoV is made up of a combination of one that affects bats and another totally unknown coronavirus. They think genetic material from the two recombined picked up a protein that lets viruses bind to certain host cells, including those of humans. When they analyzed the genes of strains affecting various host animals, the team found that snakes were susceptible to the most similar version of the coronavirus and likely provided a reservoir for the viral strain to grow stronger and replicate. Snakes likely served as the jumping off point for the virus to begin infecting humans, the team said. Results derived from our evolutionary analysts suggest for the first time that snake is the most probable wildlife animal reservoir for the coronavirus, the authors wrote. They identified a novel virus and found that the viral genome shared 89% similarity to SARS-like coronaviruses from bats, but the researchers say it is not possible to conclude from the analysis of a single patient that this coronavirus is the cause of current outbreak. Despite extensive treatment efforts, the patient had respiratory failure and his condition did not improve after 3 days of treatment. And yeah, so you know what happened to him. Let's see. And it says most encouragingly, though, this indicates that treatments and vaccines developed for SARS should work for the Wuhan virus. So they're still working on the cure, but they saying, you know, being that it's so much like the SARS virus, and they already came out with the cure for SARS, the vaccines and everything. So most likely the same vaccines that they got for SARS will also work for this one. Now, as far as people eating bats, you know, that's nothing new. I mean, so that's how you know this whole coronavirus has to be some new joints that I say can't just pop up all of a sudden in nature, because as far as saying people eating bats like that just started today, I mean, nah, people have been eating bats. In China, bats are used in traditional Chinese medicine to treat a series of illnesses, including coughing, malaria, gonorrhea. Yes, basically, bat soup's supposed to be good for them, and bat type medicines supposed to be able to, like they say, cure cough and everything else. I mean, it's like just a normal thing for them. So to go from something that's normal that they've been eating for thousands of years to just all of a sudden having a disease after, you know, being able to have a virus after thousands of years of eating it without a virus. Come on now. Think about that. Okay. Let me see if there's any more interesting tidbits on this report. Then we'll get more into it. They confirm some of their early suspicions, discount others, and typically raise even more questions that many are already trying to answer. But those answers need more information, which may not be forthcoming for several years. Some of the patient's antibodies, which fight disease, were shown by Zhengli Shi and colleagues to have the potential to neutralize the virus. And the research suggests that a previously identified horse antibody against SARS also neutralizes the virus. However, whether or not these cross react with the current strain needs to be confirmed using serum from humans who have recovered from SARS. Scientists race to find a vaccine, which may take years. The epidemic's official death toll soared overnight by 57 to 361 cases in China. One person has also died in the Philippines. Chinese authorities reported 2,829 new cases over the last 24 hours, taking infections to above 17,450 worldwide. Within a month, the never-seen-before coronavirus strain has spread to an alarming rate. It has reached 23 countries, including the UK, US, Canada, and Australia. Developments forced the World Health Organization to declare a public health emergency last week due to how concerns the virus was spread to countries with weaker health systems. 11 British nationals returned from China on Sunday night as part of the government's rescue program. The Foreign Office started pulling diplomats and their families from the disease-hit region last Friday. Around 150 people and 50 others, mainly from the EU and 20 from Spain, arrived at RAF Breeze Norton in Oxfordshire on January 31. But some 30,000 Brits are still trapped in China and have reportedly been told to make their own way home. The highly contagious infection can spread via a simple cough, sneeze, or handshake, and the virus can live on inanimate objects such as door handles. And that's real important, real important thing about this. That part right there. The highly contagious infection can spread via a simple cough, a sneeze, a handshake. You know, just once it's on the hand, you could go to somebody sneeze and then touch the door handle, and now it's on the door handle, and everybody that touches that door handle, now all of them have the coronavirus. I mean, it's just the way that it spreads that makes it so deadly. Like I say, everybody has to breathe. That's why the other viruses is a lot easier to keep away from. You know what I'm saying? Just by cleanliness and watching what you're doing. But this one, I mean, just by breathing, hell, you could be on the same damn plane that somebody that had coronavirus was on, and unwillingly just sitting on a plane breathing, you're catching the damn virus. See, that's what makes this one so much more scarier and so much more deadlier, because of the way that it can just rapidly spread everywhere. I mean, the way this joke is spread ain't no joke. Okay, let's get into the whole zoonotic disease thing. Zoonotic diseases are able to pass from one species to another. The infecting agent, called a pathogen in these diseases, is able to cross the species border and still survive. They range in potency and are often less dangerous in one species than they are in another. In order to be successful, they rely on long and direct contact with different animals. Common examples are the strains of influenza that have adapted to survive in humans from various different host animals. These cases are rare, but outbreaks do occur when a person has prolonged direct exposure with infected animals. The flu strain is also incapable of passing from human to human once a person is infected. The outbreak of swine flu was considered a pandemic, and government spent millions developing Tamiflu to stop the spread of the disease. Influenza is zoonotic because, as a virus, it can rapidly evolve and change its shape and structure. There are examples of other zoonotic diseases such as says chlamydia, yeah, some kind of bacteria strain. But yeah, like I say, it's not too many. Oh, that's what. Okay, that's what I say. All right. Okay. Well, chlamydia is a bacteria that has many different strains in the general family. This has been known to happen with some specific strains. Chlamydia abortus, for example. This specific bacteria can cause abortion in small ruminants, and if transmitted to a human, can result in abortions, premature births, and life-threatening illnesses in pregnant women. But yeah, man. So it's like real scary as far as the way that it spreads. Cause hell, if it keep going unchecked, man, everybody be walking around with some damn mask on our face, and scared to go anywhere, scared to leave the damn house. And I mean, they're gonna come out like they say, they're going to come out with a vaccine for it. Basically, have a cure for it. But the same way with SARS, when SARS was the big thing, and then they came out with one for that. But like I say, it takes a little time before they do come out with it. Just how many people are going to die before they say, "Oh yeah, now you know what? We got a cure for that." Yeah, that's not a problem anymore. Everybody needs to take this shot. Then you have another shot your kids have to get before they go to school or something. Yeah, it's crazy. And so now let's get into exactly why I say that the whole bat theory is not realistic. It has to be more to it than just being coming from bats. A big thing that I notice is that they just keep saying bats. I mean, and why that is so important, the fact that they only just say bats and not what particular species of bats. What makes that so important is that there's 1,300 known species of bats. So when you say bats, you're talking about a wide range of a mammal. I mean, bats go all the way from the little teeny bumblebee bat, which is what they actually call it. It's like the size of your thumbnail. When it's flying around, you basically think it was just a little bee flying around. It's that small, and it ranges from that all the way to the big gigantic bats, what they call the mega bats, which are, I mean, just humongous. Um, the size of like you would see a giant bird like a turkey or something. If you saw it flying in the air, you're like, yo, what the heck is that? So I mean, they range in different sizes and species and styles. You got the fox bat, and we call it the fox bat because it basically looks like a flying fox. You got the little brown Myotis. You got the fish-eating bat that basically only eats fish. You got the common long-eared bat. You got you got the vampire bat. You got the red bat, the big brown bat. You got the painted bat, and the list just goes on and on and on. There's so many different species of bats from like I say, teeny to gigantic, and then you have the different facial features of bats where they go from some pretty scary looking things to some really cuddly, cute looking, puppy face looking bats. I mean, it's just such a wide range of bats, you know what I'm saying? So when you just say bats and not particular type of bat or particular species of bats, and you just leave it to a wide range, it's like, yeah, that's a red flag right there, because it's like, okay, what type of bat are you talking about in particular? Because I don't think humans would usually eat vampire bats, because everybody know vampire bats carry rabies, and um, vampire bats are the more scarier looking bats. You got some way more cute cuddly bats out there, and they be messing off with some damn vampire bats. And unlike the other bats like fruit bats and such like that, which would be more tame and calmer, if somebody was trying to catch vampire bats and eat those, they get bit up. Those things are pretty vicious also. They don't mess around. They be having to fight for their dinner. So, I mean, you got that part of it too. Okay, bats. Okay, what type of bats are you talking about? And when you leave that part out, then it's saying to me, it's like, okay, um, as far as your research, you're just putting out just, you know what I'm saying, not being all particular with it. Like, I don't know. And back to what I was saying about as far as bats being part of their diet for some people, and it's just not in China. It's in other countries too that will eat bats. I mean, it's not real popular. We definitely don't eat bats here in the U.S., but I mean, it's it's not the first time a human ever ate a bat. So my thing is this right here. If it's 2020 now when it comes out, when this virus comes out, right? So what happened to the other thousands of years that these human beings been eating bats? It took thousands of years for it to actually turn into a virus overnight and then start killing people. And then a type of deadly virus that can be transmitted through the air, just like SARS. And for it to be so similar to the SARS virus and looking like a mixture between SARS and a non-lethal coronavirus, which now, of course, is lethal once you get the whole that whole Frankenstein style of virus or hybrid virus mixed with SARS. So it's basically like SARS with another virus mixed with it. That right there, that alone makes me say, okay, this is. I mean, they probably got into some bats somehow. To me, it would be have to been from an injection or something like that, because this is pointing more to something that happened in a laboratory, man, is what I'm saying. I just put that out there because we had not SARS out way back in 2003. The big SARS scare started in 2002. By 2003, they already had the vaccine and they was knocking SARS out the park. We haven't heard about the SARS virus since 2003. Here it is, 2020. You got a reemergence of the SARS through the coronavirus, which is basically just the SARS virus with a twist, basically. You know what I'm saying? So it was already under wraps, already knocked out, and a hybrid of it comes out years later. You know what I'm saying? That's 17 years later, a hybrid virus of SARS come out, which we call the coronavirus. Come on, man. It's easy to do the math on that. Think about it. That can't be nothing but coming from a laboratory somewhere. Every day we have scientists in labs messing around, tinkering with viruses and stuff like that. I mean, and that's their job, and that's what they're supposed to do. There's nothing wrong with that. We always need to try to figure out viruses and make better vaccines and etc. So that's normal. And unfortunately, though, every now and then, accidentally, something might leak out. Somebody might accidentally not clean up as good, and you have cross contamination. You have different things that go on. You might have somebody that wasn't on the up and up and trying to slip out a vial something out and sell it to the highest bidder. Oh, we all seen the movies, man. When you look at the movie industry, it's basically art imitating life. So, I mean, humans are humans, and for it to get a live hybrid style SARS virus 17 years later, after we've knocked out the SARS virus, 17 years after that virus death, here's the reemergence of it. It's in the hybrid virus that we're now calling the coronavirus. Come on, man. It's that easy to do the math on that, man. It just makes sense that this right here didn't occur naturally out of nature. I'm not buying the whole just natural cause out of nature, out of the blue. Nature doesn't work like that. Laboratories work like that. A new virus can come out overnight via a laboratory. A new virus can't just come out overnight because somebody ate a bat. If that's the case, okay, then what about the guys that was eating bats thousands of years ago? How come they didn't get the damn coronavirus? Are you not seeing this big loophole right here? That's why I'm not quick to buy the whole bat angle. It makes no damn sense. But the fact that this virus is damn near 80% SARS virus, which we already know from 2002 to 2003 was a whole SARS scare. You think none of that was left in some vials and containers in any laboratories? Been sitting up being experimented on for the last 17 years? Yes, of course. Could something like that leak out from some laboratory? It's not supposed to. It's a lot of protocols, and that's not supposed to happen. But at the same time, humans are humans. So I could buy the story a hell of a lot quicker if they say, hey, we think that this came from somebody's laboratory. Maybe it wasn't a major laboratory. Maybe it was somebody tinkering around in a little homemade laboratory in their damn basement. It doesn't have to be some big time government experience, big time government conspiracy or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just jumping to that conclusion, but I'm saying some laboratory, whether it's just some kooky guy that was in his own basement messing around, or a group of weirdos, or etc. Who knows? But humans are humans, and whether it was on purpose or whether it was on accident, when we looked at all the information, all the scientific information, the only conclusion that you really can come up with that actually makes sense is not coming from an animal, it's coming from a damn laboratory. To mix SARS with another virus, it would have to be a virus that is able to have SARS mixed with it. And for that to happen, it would take a little time and tinkering of which ones that viruses that could actually get along with each other. That sounds like some laboratory type joints. As far as just a random, a guy ate this plant or a guy ate this animal and that started a whole new virus. What? They've been eating bats. That is nothing new. It's just that you got some people jumping on all brand new with it, thinking, oh man, somebody ate a bat. Wow, I can't believe this. No, man, they been eating bats. That's been their thing for thousands of years now, man. If they could have possibly caught this virus from eating bats, it would have been over there thousands of years ago already. It hasn't. This is brand new. This is SARS mixed with another virus, and we call it coronavirus, the Frankenstein virus. That's it. Case in point. I just deaded the whole bat theory right off of that alone. You heard it first right here, Rod D Orange Ninja News, where we actually scientifically investigate. We look at the whole story, every little part to it, and come out with an intelligent opinion. We don't just throw any type of opinion out there, man. We look at the whole thing, and that's just what makes the most sense right there. All right, so it's been good kicking it with y'all, man. Hope y'all learned something today. I definitely have. As I usually say about this time, y'all be blessed and peace.